Hello all of my history-loving friends, welcome back, or welcome for the first time. If you are new to my channel, this is a history channel. I do stories about a little bit of everything: crime, disasters, famous events, famous people, places, things. If I find it interesting, I may do a story on it, and if you like history, you might find it interesting like I do. So please like, subscribe, all of that internet stuff. On today's adventure, we are in Springfield. This is where I live. And we are going to be talking about Officer Thomas Persell, who got to spend a little time with Bonnie and Clyde. Thomas Persell served as a Springfield police officer in the 1930s, and he was well known for having been kidnapped by Bonnie and Clyde. He was 24 years old in 1933. He'd spent the early years of his life selling adding machines. That would have been the 1930s equivalent of the calculator. He joined the force in 32, right away caught two car thieves. He had a talent for that. And on January 26, 1933, he was working as a motorcycle cop. He had been promoted pretty quickly to motorcycle duty. And he was looking for a Ford V8 that had disappeared earlier in the day. It wouldn't take long for him to be on the trail of these people, and he spotted something very suspicious. And I'm going to take you now to where that happened. I am currently walking down Route 66. I'll go this way so you can see it. In 1933, this was Route 66. I'm standing today at St. Louis Street. In 1933, this was the Kentwood Arms Hotel. Today, it is a dormitory used by Missouri State University. But it was a really nice hotel at that time, kind of swanky. He's cruising along on his motorcycle down Route 66 when he sees suspicious characters cruising around right through here. He said they were in front of the Shrine Mosque. He could tell they were checking out a car, probably looking for targets. Now the Shrine Mosque, I'm sorry, it is so windy. The Shrine Mosque is a Route 66 landmark. Elvis performed here in the 1950s. He wasn't even well known yet when he did that. But right through here, he notices this car acting strangely. Today the street is Kimbrough. They would have turned right on that, and he's following them. And they turned kind of behind the shrine, and they went over the viaduct. The viaduct which goes over some train tracks. I'm gonna go drive over that and kind of show you where they went when he finally confronts them. I'm gonna walk, kind of swing by the Kentwood Arms so you can see it. It opened around the time Route 66 became Route 66, around 1926. And an interesting story with this hotel is when Nixon was here, I think it was for his campaign against Kennedy for the presidency, he had some black reporters with him, following him, and they were a part of his entourage. The hotel wouldn't let them stay here. So Nixon said, if they're not allowed here, then we're not staying here, any of us. And the story is that Nixon was pretty instrumental in getting Springfield desegregated, because he stayed here unless they would let his diverse entourage stay here too. Okay, we're getting back on Route 66. To give you some timing on this, this is about 2 months after the Orinoco bank robbery. He's following them through here, sees them in front of the shrine, and they turn right here. This is the elevated viaduct that they cross. It goes over the train tracks And somewhere along here, he pulls up behind them and motions for them to pull over. Clyde will not do that here because he cannot escape. You know, it's going through his mind, am I gonna run from this guy? And he decides not to. He would have pulled off on this street right here. And you can see the back of the shrine over there. When Tom Persell walked up next to the car, WD and Clyde pulled pistols on him, but they didn't open up on him. They ordered him into the car, probably parked along over here by this power station, somewhere along the street right here is where they kidnapped Tom Persell. And I know this is right because it said there was a church on the corner. This is an African-American church. This is Pitt's Chapel. They still have services here. It was built in 1911. It was definitely here when Bonnie and Clyde kidnapped him in '33. Now standing here you get a better view of the viaduct. And you can see the train there where it goes over the tracks. So Persell gets in the car with them. He's forced into the front between WD and Clyde. And Bonnie was in the back seat reading the map. Persell would say later that Clyde was extremely profane. He was quizzing him about the fastest way out of town. And he mentioned Orinoco. Persell said that he mentioned something to the effect of, one of those bank monkeys took a shot at us. He openly admitted that he had robbed that bank. They drove towards St. Louis for a while. And then they turned around and headed back south toward Joplin. Ironically, they stopped outside Orinoco. And the reason they stopped there is because the battery on their stolen V8 died. Clyde sent WD and Officer Persell on foot into town to steal a battery. Now Tom was placed into the car around 6 in the evening. In Orinoco, it was after dark. Everyone was in bed. There wasn't really much going on in Orinoco at the time. They go into town, they find a car parked on the street, and they steal its battery. It was a very heavy battery, and Tom Persell had to help carry it back to put it in Clyde's car. They put it in the car, and then they drove from there to Joplin, and this is where Clyde let Officer Persell go. He said basically it was a thank you for the help that he had given. He was dropping him off in a town rather than out in the middle of nowhere like usual. Before they let Persell go, he asked them if they were the ones who had stolen the car that he was trying to find the thieves of. They admitted that they were. He was trying to find the car, and so they were kind enough to tell him where they left it. He asked them why they didn't keep it, and Clyde said, "We didn't like the color tan." Officer Persell had a 44 with a custom grip that cost him $50 to get. He was very proud of it, and he asked Clyde could he please have it back. He had noticed during the drive, at one point, he had to get in the back seat for a while, and then they wanted him to get back in the front seat, and he kicked over a suitcase that was full of an arsenal, he said, that was larger than what they had at the station. He pleaded with Clyde, "Can I please have it back? You have all the weapons you need." Clyde replied something to the effect of, "Well, but we still might need it." Later, after Joplin and all those photos, his gun features prominently in many of the photographs. It's the gun that Bonnie is reaching for in Clyde's waistband when she's mock holding him up. After everything was said and done, he tried to get it back from the authorities when it was evidence or just stuff that was confiscated, but because he could not furnish the serial number for it, they wouldn't let him have it back. He never got it back, which I think is really sad. Tom Persell lived to be an old man. He died in 1989. Everyone was always talking to him about the time he was kidnapped by Bonnie and Clyde, and he wasn't shy about talking about it. I don't think he found it all that traumatizing. When they kidnapped people, generally they were pretty friendly with them, especially Bonnie. She could make friends with anyone, it seemed. She was very charismatic. Thank you so much for watching. Our next Bonnie and Clyde episode will deal with their shootout in Commerce, Oklahoma, in which Constable Cal Campbell lost his life. I'll see you all next time.